Another day, another fight for President Donald Trump, this time with the ICC, that's the International Criminal Court. This is a global judicial body. It investigates the worst crimes of the world, like war crimes or genocide or forced starvation. Sounds like the good fight, but Trump is against them. He has announced sanctions on members of this court. Their names are yet to be revealed, but the impact will be massive. No travel to the United States, no access to US assets, and no financial transactions to America. That will be the impact of this move. But why is Trump doing it? Let me quote the White House statement. This is what it says. The ICC has engaged in illegitimate and baseless actions targeting America and our close ally Israel. The ICC has, without a legitimate basis, asserted jurisdiction over and opened preliminary investigations concerning personnel of the United States. Let me simplify that for you. Trump says the ICC is unfairly targeting the US and Israel, though they have no legal basis to do so. You see, the ICC's powers come from a global treaty, the Rome Statute of 1998. If you sign that statute, you accept the ICC's jurisdiction. If not, you're not bound by the court. More than 120 countries in the world have signed the Rome Statute, but a lot of big powers have not. The United States, Israel, Russia, China, even India, these countries do not accept the International Criminal Court. The court can still probe these countries, but they're not bound by the findings or judgments. They can simply ignore it. Which brings us back to Donald Trump. He's not the kind to ignore anything. His issue with the ICC dates back to his first term. In 2020, Trump sanctioned officials of the ICC. The reason? The court was probing US war crimes in Afghanistan. This time, the US is not in the dock, but Trump's ally, Benjamin Netanyahu, is. ICC prosecutors have accused him of war crimes. They've also secured a warrant for his arrest. Hence the decision to sanction the court. The question is, what happens next? Israel has naturally welcomed Trump's move, but most of Europe is against it. The European Union has released a statement. It says Trump is undermining the international criminal justice system. Germany's Olaf Scholz calls it a wrong decision.
I don't think it's right to impose sanctions on the International Criminal Court. It's so difficult to fight for it to enjoy a reputation and respect. And of course it's perfectly all right to get angry about things, to argue, to stand up in court with your own positions. But sanctions are the wrong thing to do. They are jeopardizing an institution that is supposed to ensure that the dictators of this world cannot simply persecute people and start wars.
The ICC has also condemned it. They are promising to stand by their officials. They've also said that their work will continue. Now let's zoom out for a moment, away from the politics and the reactions. How will this affect our world? Are agencies like the ICC required? For starters, this is not an isolated move. Donald Trump has pulled out of multiple treaties and agencies, like the Paris Climate Accords, the World Health Organization, the UN Human Rights Council, and the UN Aid Agency for Palestine. He's walked out of all of these. He says these bodies are all anti-American, and it is part of Trump's new isolationism. No to global agencies, yes to invading neighbors and occupying Gaza. That's what he's doing. Now, this selective isolationism will have consequences, especially on funding. The US is the biggest contributor to the United Nations. They make up 22% of the overall budget, 27% of the peacekeeping budget, and 47% of the population fund programs. These focus on childbirth and reproductive health. If the US leaves these programs, the funding gap will be huge. We will need other states to step up. Plus, there will be a political vacuum. China is already trying to hijack United Nations institutions. This is the perfect chance for them. So Trump's actions will have real-world consequences. Which brings us to the second question. Are agencies like the ICC necessary? Well, they're not perfect, but not in the way that Trump claims. The ICC mostly focused on the third world, or focuses on the third world. They have ignored crimes committed by the West. Let me show you some numbers. Until April 2024, the ICC has indicted 54 people, 47 of them, 47 out of 54, were African. That's 87% of the indictments from one continent. And we are not saying ignore crimes in Africa, but focus on Western crimes as well. Look at what the ICC did to the United Kingdom. They found evidence that British troops committed war crimes in Iraq. The UK is also a member of the ICC, so the court did have jurisdiction on them. Yet the case was dropped. Same with Australia. Their soldiers were found guilty of war crimes in Afghanistan. Their commanders were stripped of their medals. Yet, the International Criminal Court did not probe them. If this isn't a double standard, what is? So Trump is right in saying that the ICC is broken. But America is not the victim here. They have in fact benefited from the ICC's bias. If not, most of the living US presidents would be in jail. So it is important to reform these bodies in the right way to make meaningful and just changes. We're calling the show Vantage. We hope you like what we've put together for you. Touted as the minimum defense from that video. India's neighbors were the first to send the special edition of Vantage live from the White House throughout this week. Yes, Hindu Mandir in we're on our way to Tel Aviv. City measure, but it's also the perfect way to drive.
I don't think that
Prime Minister of Bhutan, Sherin Tagwe. Welcome to
60% of the world's
office. Prime Minister Modi did the iron.
We were actually
How are you doing? How do you like? It's been 1 year since that meeting. Iron bars separate you from the outside. Out the vote efforts. Trump had, it says, and at $4.3 trillion. 300 billion by 2030. That's what we need to tackle climate change.